right, so we can just jump right into it. How was your recent trip to Kolkata?
It was wonderful, wonderful. We had a great time, and not an extensive time, but a very full time.
How and what motivated you to get involved with the ministry in Kolkata?
I had a couple of pastoral friends, colleagues, that said to me, they had done some work in India, and they said, you've got to go over and help these people. Well, there's about 1.3 billion people in India, and 2.3% of the population would be considered Christian in every kind of flavor of what you would call Christian would be. It's an accepted religion there. I mean, Hindu is by far the greatest population, and then you've got Islam and this tiny little slice of Christians, many of which would be a little different from what we are. And seeing these guys and getting to know them, I think that first cohort we had 55 people, and they were sponges, soaking it up. And each of them had to have a Timothy under them that they would go back and train with the same material. So it was trying to branch it out and equip the leaders and have the leaders equipping others in underneath them.
So along with the need for more people ministering to others, are there other needs that you noticed, or are there needs that when you first started that have changed over time?
There are so many different needs. I mean, India's a state of total opulence on one hand, and poverty, just deep poverty on the other hand. And there's a real need for people in terms of ministry to get training. They have facilities for training, but a lot of them don't have much of any training, and they're really hindered by that. And what our church is actually doing right now is we have taken a 3-year commitment of $5,000 a year to help provide training sessions for their pastors and missionaries from the church that we are associated with. And for $5,000, we can bring in about 30 of these pastors and missionaries, house them in very simple, on the floor mattresses, and feed them and send them back home and give them a 3 or 4 day concentrated effort of training.
The last question is, and you alluded to it just now, but how can UAC continue to support Kolkata and their mission?
Well, I think one of the ways is certainly through prayer. We always talk about that. I had the privilege this last time, for the first time, they started a church for these gals who had been trafficked, and it's called Freedom Church. And I had never been there, and so I had to preach in the morning. I didn't have to preach in the evening, so I went for the Freedom Church. And you see these beautiful children, 14, 15, 16, 17. And you see how they have been used and abused. And here they are, learning about God, God's love. A number of them have come to faith. They've been baptized. And one of the things that was really touching for me too was that, so they have a service, and they were taught. And one of the things they were taught was stewardship. And they have virtually nothing. I mean, financially, almost nothing. And so the girls were taught about stewardship, giving God your time, your talent, your treasures. And the girls were perplexed because they wanted to give financially as well. Some of them don't have anything, and some of them could give a small coin. And what they did was so fascinating to me. And I took a picture of this when I heard the story. They would get a snack, and they would take that snack. It could be an orange, it could be a little cookie or a cake. And here they were, going up and presenting, putting on a table their snack as a sacrifice to God, and how to give. And so it is just, neat to see lives touched. There's a facility for the children of sex trade workers. And I'm watching these little guys, 4 and 5 years, running, playing, knocking a soccer ball around, and somebody loves them, somebody's feeding them, somebody's housing them. And so there's so many great spin-off things that are happening as well.
Great, thank you. It's so important to be aware of how far reaching a ministry can really be.
And this is done through a local church,
Yeah.
which is the incredible thing.
Right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing and
my pleasure.
And everything. Thank you. Wonderful stories and wonderful work that's being done in Kolkata. So
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you very much for sharing.
My pleasure.